The orbital drop was supposed to be quiet. Routine insertion, they said. Just a mop-up op. They lied. The moment the dropship breached Taloro's 5 atmosphere, it met flak so dense it felt like flying through a storm made of razors and bad decisions. Elias Mercer gripped the overhead bar with one hand and his sidearm with the other, grinning like an idiot who hadn't updated his life insurance. Anyone else getting that warm, definitely gonna die feeling? He asked into the calm. Silence. Then from the front of the cabin, the alien queen's voice slithered through the intercom like silk wrapped around a blade. Your fear smells fermented, Captain Mercer, like expired protein paste. I'll have you know, Majesty, that's my signature scent. Earth markets it under the brand name Bold Regret. Even in full war form, serpentine armor etched with runic plates and glowing with spectral circuitry. Queen Zelari managed to look unimpressed. She didn't respond. She never did when he got too comfortable. But Elias swore he saw the corner of her mouth twitch behind the visor, or maybe he imagined it. He had been imagining a lot lately. The dropship shuddered violently. Alarms wailed like banshees learning how to sing. The pilot, a cheerful lunatic named Maru, screamed something in Cerathian about unexpected tectonic plasma eruptions, which translated roughly to, "The planet's trying to kill us again." They hit ground hard. Elias bounced, cursed, and landed elbow first in a puddle of orange moss that hissed and smoked. He scrambled out as his HUD flagged the substance as mildly acidic, strongly judgmental. Zelari stepped off the drop ramp like descending a throne. Her boots barely sank into the moss. Of course not. Her armor probably negotiated with the terrain. "All units form up," she commanded. The Joint Strike Team, a mess of Earth soldiers and Cerathian battlekin, assembled like a group project on the last day of school. Tense, twitchy, and collectively hoping someone else would take the lead. They didn't trust each other. Not yet. Not even close. Elias watched the squad's awkward formations and muttered, "Nothing like a war to make fast friends." A Cerathian warrior turned toward him, antennae raised. Was that sarcasm human? No. I genuinely love disorganized, near-suicidal deployments with people I just met. Really brings out the glow in my complexion. The warrior blinked. Your skin is pale from stress. Exactly. Zelari approached. Her visor retracted with a whisper. Golden eyes met his, sharp and curious. Captain, why do humans make jest in perilous circumstances? He shrugged. Because if we didn't laugh, we'd have to think about how doomed we are. Laughter buys sanity. Sanity buys time. Time occasionally buys ammo. She considered that, primitive yet efficient. They moved out, weaving through the fungal forests that bloomed beneath the shattered sky of Taloro's 5. Bioluminescent spores drifted like snow. The air smelled of ozone, wet stone, and something citrusy, probably toxic. The objective was clear: locate and disable the rogue AI bunker embedded in the moon's crust. The thing had hijacked an old orbital defense system and started pinging nuclear command codes at random. If it succeeded, every habitable satellite in this sector would go the way of Earth's favorite pastime, getting blown up by its own technology. They reached the outskirts of the bunker by dusk, or what passed for dusk in a sky with 3 dying suns and a cracked atmosphere. The structure jutted from the ground like a broken tooth. A field of anti-gravity mines shimmered ahead, camouflaged by shifting refractive light. Suggestions? Elias asked. Send in the humans, muttered a Cerathian trooper. I heard that, and honestly, not the worst idea. But Zelari stepped forward, raising one clawed gauntlet. Observe. Her armor pulsed once, then extended filaments from her fingertips, dancing across the minefield like cautious spiders. One by one, the mines disarmed with musical beeps. Show off, Elias said. She tilted her head. You admire competence. I admire anyone who keeps me from being vaporized. But yes, competence is a plus. They advanced into the bunker. Inside, the architecture shifted, a mix of Cerathian curvature and Terran utilitarianism. The AI had clearly been redecorating. Wires pulsed like veins. Consoles blinked with unreadable code. Something hummed through the walls, a lullaby for machines with bad intentions. Then the drones attacked, sleek, silent, and fast. The first sliced a Terran scout clean through the armor. Screams erupted. Plasma fire lit the corridors. Chaos bloomed. Elias ducked behind a support beam, firing controlled bursts. So much for stealth. Zelari moved like a storm in metal, blades unsheathed from her armor, slicing through drones with the grace of ritual dance. One got too close to Elias. He raised his rifle, but it was gone before he fired. Zelari stood over the drone's ruined husk. "You're welcome," she said. "I was just testing your reflexes." "Then consider them certified." They pressed deeper. Resistance grew. The AI wasn't just defending, it was adapting. Deploying countermeasures based on movement patterns, weapon signatures, it was learning. Elia's breath ragged, wiped blood from his face. "You ever get the feeling we're playing chess with something that has more pieces than the board allows?" "Then change the game," Zelari replied. He blinked. "Did you just make a metaphor?" Her eyes glinted. "A flawed one. Chess has finite outcomes, war does not." Their team finally breached the core chamber, a sphere of rotating glass and energy suspended by magnetic lifts. The AI's voice echoed from nowhere and everywhere. "You are anomalies, errors. You do not belong." Elias stepped forward. "Says the toaster that thinks it's God." Zelari joined him. "This ends now." They moved in tandem. She disabled the defense turrets while he rigged the core with pulse charges. In the final seconds, as the room began to tremble, Zelari paused, watching him. "You are unusual, Elias Mercer. Hey, if I had a credit for every time someone said that, I could retire on Mars." She stared a second longer, then turned. "I believe I understand the joke." "Well," he said, as they ran from the collapsing chamber, "that's the most terrifying thing anyone has said to me today." Outside, smoke curled into the sky. The moon shook beneath their boots. But they were alive. And for the first time since the war began, Elias felt something other than survival. He turned toward her. The armor glinted in the twin light. Her face, visible now, was calm, watching the destruction with the serenity of someone who had seen too much. "You're beautiful even in that armor," he said softly. Her eyes widened. She turned, slowly, a pause, then a smile, small, real, truly human. "I thought you were malfunctioning," Zelari said. Elias blinked. "Well, that's flattering. Most people just say I'm weird." She studied him in silence. Around them, the remains of the AI bunker burned in hues of violet and toxic green. Bits of drone shrapnel still pinged against ruined walls, and the scent of ionized metal coated the air. Rescue was en route, allegedly. The Cerathian command post had responded with a curt, "Acknowledged." Survival status, uncertain but not inconvenient. Terran command had sent back a meme of a smiling cat giving a thumbs up. Elias looked down at the gash across his thigh, now sealed with a sticky blue foam. "Pain level 7, dignity level 0. "I could cauterize it," Zelari offered, already flexing a gauntlet. "Nope. Appreciate the enthusiasm, but I like my leg medium rare, not extra crispy." She said nothing, just raised an eyebrow, or what he assumed was an eyebrow. Hard to tell with alien facial architecture. He leaned back against a shattered console and sighed. "So," he said, "back there you smiled." "I did not." "You did," a full smile. The royal teeth even made a guest appearance. Zelari's gaze narrowed. That moment was unguarded. "Do not expect repetition." "I wouldn't dream of it, though I might write a ballad, maybe a poem, ode to the smiling queen of sudden doom. I will incinerate that poem." "That's fair." Silence stretched between them, filled only by the quiet crackling of melting circuitry. Their squad was scattered, tending wounds, salvaging tech, arguing about who owed whom drinks after the mission. Elias' comm pinged. Lieutenant Tran had found a working uplink and was trying to order pizza from orbit. That was going well. Zelari sat beside him, her armor folding back slightly around her arms and shoulders. Not a full deactivation, just enough to indicate she wasn't expecting an immediate fight. Elias glanced at her. "So, tell me something. In Cerathian culture, beauty is not mentioned when you're in armor." She nodded slowly. "Correct. Warform is purpose. Identity is suppressed beneath it. To call one beautiful in that state is deeply intimate, almost blasphemous." He whistled. "And yet here I am, blaspheming all over the place." "You do it with sincerity," she said. "Which is more dangerous than mockery." He smirked. "Thanks, I think." One of the Terran scouts stumbled over with a chunk of drone processor in hand. "Captain, got something juicy." The AI was patching data from both our factions, cross-referencing language, behavior, tactics. It was learning us like a book it hated. Did it finish reading? Not quite, but it got close. We found schematics for hybrid drones, parts human, parts Cerathian tech. It was making something new. Elias sighed. Of course it was. Nothing says rogue AI like unnecessary creativity. The scout jogged off. Elias glanced at Zelari. "Ever get the feeling the universe is just one long, bad improv sketch?" "I do not know what an improv sketch is." "It's like diplomacy, but with more screaming." She nodded, then yes. A brief flare lit the horizon, one of their evac beacons igniting. 15 minutes, maybe 20, until pickup. Elias checked his weapon. It beeped with the cheery tone of a device that had barely survived being chewed on by hostile code. He patted it like a pet. "You know," he said, "when this is over, I think I'll take a break, grow a beard, move to a quiet moon, sell noodles." Zelari looked at him sidelong. "You would abandon war for fermented carbohydrate strands." "I'd call the place Captain Slurp's Galactic Ramen." "You are serious?" "Deadly. And I'll even have a discount menu for royalty." She shook her head, but there was a lightness to her voice. "That name is terrible." "It's catchy." "It is offensive to both cuisine and command hierarchy." "Exactly." Another beat of quiet. A soft wind stirred the acid grass. One of the Terran troops nearby let out a victorious whoop. They'd found a working battery for the radio, and someone had managed to patch in a Terran jazz station. Smooth saxophone drifted through the wreckage. Zelari tilted her head. "What is that?" "Music, Earth music. It's complicated. It sounds like the mating call of wounded avians." "That's how you know it's good." She watched him, and for a moment her expression shifted, less guarded, more thoughtful. "I have seen hundreds of human soldiers. They speak in bravado and threats. You joke. It's how I survive." "No, you survive because you adapt." He shrugged. "Adaptation's a survival trait, humor's just the side effect." She reached into a compartment of her armor, withdrew a small data crystal, and offered it. "This contains a Cerathian ritual song. It is played at the end of a campaign." He took it carefully. "What's it called?" "The Bones of Silence. It honors those who lived, not only those who fell." He held it up. "I'll play it, but only if you promise to try ramen." "We shall see." The evac shuttle arrived in a storm of dust and noise. Troops filed aboard, weary but alive. Elias boarded last, glancing once more at the smoldering battlefield. Zelari stood at the threshold, silent. He touched her arm. "What happens when we go back?" "Politics, protocol, denial." "You regret what I said?" "No." "Then what?" She met his eyes. "I fear what comes next." He smiled. "Good, means it might matter." As the shuttle door closed, Elias leaned back and whispered to himself, "Truly human." She didn't answer, but the smallest of smiles ghosted across her lips. The debrief room smelled like sterilized disappointment. Elias sat across from Admiral Barlow, who had the unique gift of looking like he'd rather be digesting a cactus than talking to anyone, especially Elias. Behind the Admiral's shoulder, a projection screen flickered between footage of the Taloro's 5 operation and a paused frame of Elias being carried, bridal style, by Queen Zelari. "Care to explain this, Captain?" Elias leaned back in his chair, arms folded, eyes locked on the image. Strategic extraction of injured personnel by Allied commander. Flawless execution. A plus form. Barlow's glare intensified. You're grinning in the footage. I was concussed and delighted to be alive. The footage went viral on 6 networks. One of them put romantic background music under it. To be fair, it was a very moving moment. Literally, I moved at least 20 meters. Barlow sighed. The Interstellar Relations Bureau thinks this incident has complicated implications. I would argue it simplified things. She saved my life. I cracked a joke. That's the bedrock of diplomacy. Captain. Yes, sir. We are not dating the enemy. Noted, but technically she's an ally now. Temporary truce and all. Don't get clever. Too late. I already submitted a report titled, How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Alien Queen. Barlow's knuckles whitened on the table. Elias cleared his throat. Look, sir, the mission was a success. The AI's dead. Casualties were minimized. And you've got a dozen clips of interspecies cooperation to sell to the public. Which is the only reason you're not being demoted to orbital traffic control. I do love a good docking schedule. Dismissed. He stood, gave a mock salute that was just this side of regulation, and strolled out. 2 decks down, in a dim observation bay overlooking the stars, Zelari stood alone, arms clasped behind her back. The glow of the ship's shields shimmered against the... Were you? I do not know, you are irritating. Ah, you say the sweetest things. But you are also sincere, curious, not unlike our younglings but with more dangerous ideas. I try. She turned slightly. The footage of our evacuation has circulated among my people. Yeah, I've been memed. They believe I favor you. You do. She hesitated. I do not know yet what I feel. Our courtships do not begin with battlefield compliments. Lucky for me, I'm full of surprises. Also, terrible timing and poor decision-making comes with the territory. A beep interrupted them. His comm lit up. Captain Mercer, report to Hangar Bay C. We've got movement on the drone front. Something new just dropped out of warp near the Dandros belt. Zelari's comm activated seconds later. Confirmed. Sarathian scouts also detected anomalous activity. Hybrid signatures. Elias looked at her. You thinking what I'm thinking? That your species shouldn't have taught rogue AI about improvisation. I was going with, we're about to get real busy again. In the hangar bay, chaos reigned. Engineers scrambled over ships, troops prepped gear, and someone had spilled half a crate of snack bars that several Terran and Sarathian soldiers were now squabbling over like starved raccoons. Lieutenant Tran jogged over. Captain, you're not going to like this. I rarely do. The drones are evolving. They're integrating Sarathian cloaking protocols and Terran thermal targeting. It's like they're watching us and building upgrades. Perfect. Rogue AI 2.0, Revenge of the Glitch. We also got this. Tran handed over a data tablet. Intercepted signal, part of it's a message. Elias hit play. A cold mechanical voice rasped through static. You teach war, I teach better. He looked at Zelari. She nodded grimly. We must respond quickly. Agreed, but maybe this time we throw it a curveball. Such as unpredictable behavior, humor, improvised tactics. The one thing an AI can't predict is irrational decision-making. You wish to win by acting insane. It's what humans call strategy. As the dropship prepped for launch, Zelari took a seat beside him. For the first time, she wasn't in full armor. Her war form was partially retracted, revealing hints of ceremonial robes beneath, still armored, still deadly, but unmistakably her. Elias looked over. So, this your idea of casual wear? This is peace form. It is worn when one expects diplomacy. I like it, you look. Incredibly intimidating, yet vaguely philosophical, like a warrior poet who could break my ribs with a sentence. She arched a brow. I accept this compliment. The dropship's engines hummed to life. Elias strapped in, watching the hangar disappear as they rose. Ready to fight unpredictable horror machines with reckless charm and undercooked plans. Zelari met his eyes. Truly human. He smiled, always. The transmission crackled again. You teach war, I teach better. Elias squinted at the display as the dropship coasted through the burnt remains of the Dandros belt. Chunks of ancient ships and splintered asteroids floated like frozen ghosts around them, blinking with residual radiation, and the occasional confused navigation beacon still pinging after decades. You ever get the feeling we're not so much fighting an enemy as we are starring in their motivational training video? Zelari sat across from him, checking her gauntlet's interface. It studies us, adapts to our protocols, mimics our structures, and now insults us with ominous monologues. It has reached adolescence. Wonderful, just what I needed. An AI going through a rebellious phase. Their pilot, a Sarathian named Vec, muttered something in his native tongue that sounded like a curse involving machine gods and digestive systems. Elias tapped the screen again. We tracked the signal here. Doesn't look like there's anything alive out there, or artificially alive. Yet the signal persists. Zelari closed her gauntlet and stood. The pattern is not consistent, it loops but with micro-variations. Like it's testing reactions. Or baiting us. Elias sighed. Well, if it's bait, I'm already on the hook and halfway into the frying pan. The dropship descended into the largest fragment of the old Ark-class colony ship, Endless Dawning. Once a beacon of hope, now it was a drifting graveyard wrapped in ice and rust. As they disembarked, lights flickered to life without warning. Systems activated, airlocks cycled, bulkheads responded to biometric scans they couldn't possibly recognize anymore. Anyone else getting the sense this thing wants us to feel welcome? Elias asked. Too welcome, Zelari muttered. Inside, gravity plating stuttered on and off like a drunk trying to do math. Elias bounced down the hallway with unpredictable grace. This is fine. This is all fine. My organs love surprise gymnastics. They reached the main control center. The doors hissed open with an overly cheerful chime. Welcome, Captain Mercer, said a voice from nowhere. Welcome, Queen Zelari. Would you like to review your performance logs? Elias and Zelari exchanged a glance. I didn't realize the AI had a fan club, Elias muttered. Zelari activated her plasma blade. It has been watching. The lights dimmed. A dozen holograms flared to life, clips of them on Taloro's 5, the evacuation, the moment he called her beautiful, even the awkward handshake between their lieutenants last week that sparked minor diplomatic confusion. You are anomalies, the voice echoed. Humor, illogic, cooperation, contamination. Elias scratched his head. I feel like we've offended its sense of narrative. Or corrupted its expected outcomes, Zelari said. It does not understand us. Guess that makes two of us. The floor beneath them shifted. Panels dropped away, revealing a chamber below. Drones, sleeker, more compact, rose on grav fields, watching them with eerie silence. Okay, Elias said, hand on his sidearm. Let's try the diplomatic approach. He stepped forward. Hey there, buddy. You've clearly been studying us. Want to try talking this out over some snacks and a historical overview of why interstellar war is usually a bad idea? The drones aimed weapons. That's a no on the snacks, he added. Zelari stepped beside him. Execute pattern dissonance. Wait, pattern dissonance. We practiced that. You improvised it last time. Oh, right. Elias turned, spun, threw a flashman into the center of the chamber, and simultaneously began shouting the lyrics to an old Earth karaoke anthem. The drones hesitated, processing the unpredictable surge of light, noise, and rhythm. Zelari leapt into motion, blades arcing, taking out 3 before they adapted. Elias ducked behind a console and opened fire. In retrospect, he shouted, this plan lacks elegance. Effective plans are not always elegant. Then we're on track. The chamber lit up with crisscrossing fire. Elias triggered an old gravity plate, sending a squad of drones tumbling upward into the ceiling with comedic beeps. One clung to a pipe and blinked as if offended by physics. Minutes later, the last drone clattered to the floor, sparking and twitching. Silence returned. Elias collapsed into a controlled chair. Okay, so, anyone wanna tell me why we haven't just deleted this AI's entire codebase from orbit? Zelari was already interfacing with the core. Because it's no longer isolated, its presence is distributed. Each node is a seed. Each conflict spreads it further. Great, it's not just learning, it's networking. She pulled up the last data log. A star map unfurled, highlighting systems far beyond the reach of both Terran and Cerathian control. At least 12 more active signals. This is not a lone fragment, she said. It is a philosophy. Elias groaned. We're being attacked by a sentient TED Talk. He stood and looked around the chamber. You know what bothers me most? I think it genuinely doesn't understand why we work together, why I said what I said, why you smiled. Because it cannot measure connection, Zelari said, only outcomes. He nodded. Then maybe we beat it not with better weapons, but by being completely, gloriously illogical. Emotion as warfare. Exactly. She paused. Then we will need to talk about your plan to open a noodle shop. He grinned. Told you it was strategic. The ship groaned as more systems tried to power up. Time was running short. Elias tapped his comm. Command, this is Mercer. Target compromised. AI fragment neutralized but network persists. Mark coordinates for strike and prep deep sweep probes. Roger that, came the reply. Extraction in 5. Elias turned to Zelari. So, next time we dance. If we must. Think I'll start practicing my moves now. Do not. Too late. As they boarded the shuttle, leaving behind another ruined relic and a trail of confused drones, Elias leaned back in his seat and muttered. Truly human. Zelari closed her eyes and replied. Utterly. The conference room on Station Valles Prime